It's great to see you. Thank you, Celia and Fran, for having us. My name is Medha Tare. I'm the Senior Director of Research at the Joan Ganz Cooney Center at Sesame Workshop, and I'll let Daniel hop in.
Hello, everyone. My name is Daniel Alonso, and I'm currently a doctoral candidate at Fordham University, and I'm studying developmental psychology, and also have the pleasure of working closely with Medha on this project.
And we are here, excuse me, we're here today to talk to you a little bit about the work that we do in supporting industry partners in designing games for child and youth well-being. So I'll just start with a little background on the Cooney Center. It's a nonprofit research and innovation lab within Sesame Workshop. We're focused on children's learning and well-being in the digital age, inspired by our founder, of course, Joan Ganz Cooney. And our principles are in line with that of Sesame Workshop. Kids are our bottom line. Our mission is to help them grow smarter, stronger, and kinder. We are always looking to partner with kids and families and elevate their voices and their participation in the design process. Research is the key driver, so we conduct and we also leverage current research in everything we do. And we also see industry as a lever of change. So we work with innovators to ensure kids' engagement, learning, and well-being in the products that they're making. These are some examples of the kind of work that we do in this sort of research translation area. So the first is a Playtest with Kids website that we created. And you can go to the site and you'll see lots of tools and activities that you can use to engage kids in the design process and some case studies of how people have done that. Similarly, we had a lot of projects where we worked with public media stations around the country where they were engaging youth in digital media production. And so we have a site where we gather all of those examples and a toolkit for youth-focused media projects. So more recently, we've turned our attention to this topic of well-being in digital spaces and asking questions like, how should we recognize the opportunities and benefits of digital technology for children's well-being? What is the relationship between the design of digital experiences, and in particular play-centered design, and the well-being of children? And what guidance can we use to strengthen the design of digital environments to promote positive outcomes for children? So luckily, as we were also thinking of these questions, a project has been in development for several years now called the Responsible Innovation in Technology for Children. This is a 3-year international and cross-sectoral research project co-founded by the LEGO Group and UNICEF and supported by the LEGO Foundation, where they're asking big questions like, what does well-being mean for children, and how can digital experiences be designed to enhance children's well-being? As part of that work, there was a multi-method and international research study that was conducted. They had qualitative data from kids from 13 countries. They had quantitative data from kids from 30 countries, ages 7 to 18. And they were asking them questions like, what does it mean to be well? What does it mean to be happy and healthy? And I'll give you a couple of examples of the kinds of things that kids were saying in response to these questions. So one child from the UK explained that well-being is about feeling content and at ease. A child from Indonesia said that playing with friends brings them well-being. In response to a question about safety, one child from Iraq stated that safety means you don't need to be worried about any physical danger or any thoughts of danger. And on the topic of diversity and inclusion, a child from Jordan said that they wanted to see female characters that are smart and doing things that are always done by males in games. So these data, along with other quantitative data, were used to create a framework. This is a framework with 8 components that support well-being and can be seen in digital play spaces. So for the past year, several research sites have also been testing the framework in different digital play contexts. And there's another report that's going to be published this April by UNICEF that has those research findings in it. At the same time, there's an upcoming design guide for business that is led by the Child Rights and Digital Business team at UNICEF. And that report will summarize the findings from these different research reports into actionable guidance. And this report is actually still in development, and companies are needed to review the beta version. So if you're interested, you can reach out to me. I think also Shuli Gilatz is in the audience here today, so you can message her as well. And we're always looking to partner with companies who are interested in thinking about these ideas and seeing how they go forward. So I'm going to pass it on to Daniel in a moment to just share a little bit about how the Cooney Center has been inspired by this framework to also dig deeper into the literature and look at how we can help support industry partners.
Thank you, Medha. So this is another look at the framework's 8 components. And so here you can get an idea of what each of these components might actually mean to children. So for example, a digital product that promotes creativity might leave children proud of something that they've created. One that promotes diversity, equity, and inclusion may foster positive experiences for children by increasing representation of diverse avatars or characters, like Medha just mentioned. So inspired by the research conducted as part of the RITEC project, we at the Cooney Center really dug deeper into the research literature around development, around cognitive science, and digital play as well to create some resources for game designers. So specifically, one of the things that we have done is translate the framework's 8 components along with relevant research literature to prompt game designers to think about how they can design digital games and products with children's well-being at the forefront. So what I'm going to do next is walk you through a few of the recommendations, a few of the considerations that we developed for 3 of the 8 well-being components. And these considerations are really just meant to inspire conversation and reflection among everyone, but especially game designers. So let's go ahead and start with creativity. So based on developmental and cognitive science, we know that creativity involves a range of skills like risk-taking, perseverance, and flexible thinking. So the latter can consist of coming up with novel ideas and solutions, but also combining existing information or concepts into new or surprising ways. And so creativity, like most of us might think, might also mean inventing, creating, and expressing yourself through various mediums and for a range of purposes. So digital play can be especially useful for leveraging creativity in children, specifically by engaging and enhancing children's imaginative thinking, their problem solving, and their exploration. So based on RITEC and other relevant research, we prompt designers to consider how their product, for example, encourages imagination, fantasy, role-playing, how their product may provide children with opportunities to take risks, to push boundaries, to try new things, how digital play or experiences can encourage children also to generate and choose among different possible solutions, how to synthesize ideas, and even come up with something entirely new. And so as you can see with some of the considerations that we've listed on this slide, there are many ways that creativity may be fostered through digital products. So let's go ahead and jump to the next one. So another component important for children's well-being is diversity, equity, and inclusion. So research shows that children feel most safe, most secure, and welcome when digital experiences, including games, are fair, when they're accessible, representative, and also reflective of diverse people and experiences. So a lack of diversity, equity, and inclusion in children's digital media can negatively affect children's feelings of belonging, their perceptions of themselves, and also their beliefs about other people too. So digital experiences that promote children's well-being ideally will be built for and tested with a diverse set of users, while considering not only race, language, gender, and children's age, but also neurodiversity and a range of tech confidence and competence. So if you're wondering how you can design an experience where all children feel welcome and safe, based on our work, we encourage you to consider the following to help spark discussion and additional ideas. So you might consider whether some groups of children feel more or less represented, and if so, why? Similarly, game designers may want to reflect on their product to ensure that children are not subject to harmful stereotypes. You may consider how in-game controls, supports, and opportunities for playful interaction engage all players with varying needs and technological abilities. And then lastly, on our slide here, we especially encourage designers to think about where in the design process diverse groups of children can be invited. And so to do this, designers might also reflect on what it might take to work effectively with a range of children so that all children feel safe to share and participate. And then the last component that I'll touch on is social connection. So social connection involves interacting and communicating with others and also establishing and maintaining relationships. And so perhaps unsurprisingly, social connection is one of the most important factors of well-being in a child's life. Not only does social connection predict a range of outcomes like physical health and academic achievement, but social connection is also important in fostering a range of other skills related to abilities like collaboration and emotion regulation. So across digital spaces, social connections can grow and unfold in various ways. And so broadly, we see digital play as a vehicle for children to feel a sense of belonging in the world, and also as a way to for them to create community with others. So to promote social connection and therefore children's well-being, we pose to game designers questions like the following. So how does my product encourage children to work together toward a shared goal or purpose? Relatedly, how can my product build pro-social skills like conflict resolution, flexibility, turn-taking, and communication? And then tying this back to diversity, equity, and inclusion, we also encourage designers to consider features that may encourage inclusion and connection between diverse peer groups, including neurodiverse children and children with less technological access. And we also see that games can increase intergenerational contact, mutual awareness, and understanding. They can provide a space for interaction. So game designers might also consider how their digital product might enhance safe intergenerational play, including play between parents and their children. And so this is just a brief overview of how we at the Cooney Center have built on the RITEC research and this framework by bridging it further with cognitive and developmental science, and then doing that translation piece of translating it into practical tips and recommendations for industry professionals.
Thank you so much, Daniel. And I'm going to put in the chat a link to the research summaries that Daniel and others worked on that have a little bit more of we sort of did a snippet of the three with some of our references, but you'll find more information in that document as well. So as part of our work in doing this bridging, we actually have also launched some professional development opportunities. So we have found from different research, that industry professionals need more guidance to understand how to design with well-being goals in mind. And so in the fall, with the support of Pinterest, we launched an application for our Well-Being by Design Fellowship. And we had more than 80 applicants from a variety of companies, and chose 10 mid-career designers of interactive media for kids and families. We're actually kicking off the fellowship today. We'll be working together for the next 4 months on providing tools to prioritize children's well-being and design, exploring how to measure well-being, advocating for children's design well-being in product design, and then at the end, sharing out new design ideas on these topics. So we have representatives from Google, Roblox, PBS Kids, and other smaller companies and startups as well, trying to translate this work out into the field. And I have a couple minutes left, so I'm just going to pivot quickly to another initiative that we have in partnership with the Fair Play Alliance and the Riot Games Social Impact Fund. So the Fair Play Alliance is a consortium of game developers who are sort of always thinking ahead to the positive potential of games. And they have in the past put out different reports, including this one on disruption and harms in online gaming framework. And though it was obviously very helpful and outlined a lot of important points, they felt that it wasn't reframing the conversation around the real aspiration, that less bad is not the same as good. So they have recently been thinking about this topic of digital thriving. Similar to this concept of well-being, their definition is that the outcome of digital thriving is the outcome when online spaces are designed to foster feelings of well-being, accomplishment, belonging, and meaningful relationships in individuals, groups, and communities. And have been thinking not just for kids, but really anybody who's designing for games across ages. And so look out for the design playbook for digital thriving coming in the spring. They'll be sharing more at the Game Developers Conference in March. And in partnership with the Cooney Center, we'll be doing more around that as well. So these are just two examples of many different initiatives that are happening right now, to think more about designing with the positive potentials in mind, while also, of course, keeping safety, privacy, security at the forefront as well. We'll welcome any questions. Feel free to reach out to me if you have any questions, and follow us at thecooneycenter.org. Happy to answer any questions as well right now.
So much. Looking at the Q&A, there were a bunch of questions earlier on about what age are we considered children. Some people have replied already.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we are considering anyone under 18 as children. So thinking broadly, I think when we're thinking about digital games, we some of the research that's been done for the RITEC initiative in particular has been around sort of middle childhood, like 8 to 12-year-olds. But the concepts we were thinking about really should apply across ages.
All right, thank you. We don't have
Thanks.
more questions
you.
at the moment, but people can ask them later on in the Q&A. Thank you so
Great,
much.
thank you.